Hello, welcome to the last video, Nihilism, Anarchy, and the 21st Century. This last chapter is more so like kind of a note from the author, and it does get a little controversial, so, you can be mad, I guess. What I wish I had said September 12th, 2001. Today, March 11th, 2004, there was another major bombing in Madrid, Spain. The facts in this case are still coming out 12 hours later, but it appears that the eye of the accusation is envisioning the event as an Al-Qaeda plot. The first 24 hours of mainstream news coverage after the September 11th attacks was an interesting glance behind the curtain. Not only were there reports that I had never followed up on of there being additional attacks on government buildings in DC, but the blame for the attacks was all over the map, a kind of who's who of America's shit list. The coverage then from the anarchists and the left press was typically one-dimensional, as the initial response to the new Spain attack appears to be also. An example is in order. The report begins with a round or two of humanist hand-wringing, all about the children, the terror, and how targeting innocent people is no way to change the world. Then come the limp accusations about state terror. How come we are forced to write this laminin against the civilian population by a group without a state when the state does really bad things too? The state is even worse than the topic of my moralistic diatribe. Then there is a point or two about bad policies and how, if there were anarchy or justice or whatever in the fuck, this probably would have never happened. The report is wrapped up with the sober analysis of how we should change the world by changing the fundamental problem and not play the same game as those with the missile technology and the standing army. It is as if there were a central committee writing these things, press release style, making sure that no one is off script. There is no possible way that anyone could believe that there are people fighting a war against the system, people who I may not wish to win, but who am I to judge? Until the day that I take up arms against the state, resisting the enemy on the only field that it understands, I'm going to keep my mouth fucking shut about the correct or incorrect ways to fight the totality. I'm not going to tell you about how my eyes are running with tears because of all the children who will not be coming home to parents tonight. My eyes are dry. They are not dry because of the greatest crimes of the United States or Spanish governments. Sure, their crimes are legend, but if I were to cry today about this one crime, what possible chance could I have to ever stop crying? This is the world I live in. If I'm not going to burn myself to ash, I have to deal with yet another headline about consequences as exactly what it is. People died in the course of total war, where one side has very few options at its disposal with which to attack domination. My question is, to what extent will there ever be resolution to the wars of terror? Just as we know patterns of behavior of the non-participant analysis of this latest action, we also know that the behavior of the system itself. Of course there will be increased repression. Of course the ETA, the Basque separatists who were initially accused of the crime may end up being off the hook for this action, will be crushed. More allies will join on the American-led war against terror. More money will be spent that it will result in a higher degree of examination into our personal lives and a greater amount of militarization of our society. This cycle will repeat until either the entire social apparatus collapses under the weight of its own repressive infrastructure, or there is a total conformity under our compassionate overlords. I am betting on the former. To defend acts of terror would be to choose to spend an endless period of time debating points of history, philosophy, and values. To what end? I'm not convinced that lashing out against the state in media-savvy public displays of violence has much connection at all to dismantling it. If I knew that it did, I would use this opportunity to beg your action along this line. Or at least, the very least, to ask you to take me up for my run at the prize. Moreover, I am suspicious that what is being presented to me as a reality isn't even the half of it. I may not be a believer, and it will not be beneficiary either way, but I also do not think that this conclusion to the total war is going to be anything like we suspect it's going to be. Revolutionaries of every stripe have been remarkably consistent, wrong about the consequences of their behavior. What I do believe is that the radical action taken by very few individuals today strike up more awe in me than terror. The cognitive, spiritual, and ahumanist leap taken on a train in Madrid, much like the one taken by 15 hijackers in 2001, has more value to add to an understanding about what a revolutionary practice is going to look like in the 21st century than 1,000 black blocs or 1,000,000 demonstrations against the state and for the cameras. Deepest gratitude goes out to ATL, without whom this would not be possible. And there is another link that I will add in the description, but that is that for Nihilism, Anarchy, and the 21st century. Thank you so much for watching.